Most people think 100 times before even doing one university degree.
Yeah.
You just decided that, you know what, let's do 4.
Kind of started at the age of 19 to like read properly every week and just like fell in love with it. Before that, I didn't know that much. A lot of people think that like you are just born this way and you just like love reading and learning. I was just not doing anything. Like I didn't really think much about the future, what I should do. Like I didn't have the hustle like mentality and stuff. And then just like my grandma still kind of doesn't get what's going on. I think the moment my grandma felt okay with the decision was when Elton John sent me a t-shirt for Christmas. I'm like, look, grandma, it's Elton John.
Even yourself, like, did you have this conflict in your head? Like, I worked so hard to kind of reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was also hard because I didn't hate my job.
Mm.
Like, I wasn't leaving because I didn't like it. I just thought I can do it better. If you hate your job, the problem is not that you hate jobs.
Before we get started with today's podcast, I have a small favor to ask. 95% of you guys watching have not subscribed yet. In order to help me bring on bigger guests, if you've learned anything from any of my podcast episodes, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Max, welcome to an episode of the Inkspired Mind podcast. I'm really excited to have you because your energy is just something else.
Cool.
We have met one time, but it feels like...
That's not true. I can't believe you start this podcast with a lie. No,
a second time.
Yeah.
This is the second time. Yeah.
No,
second. Where was the second time we met?
First time we met was at the Unfair Advantage meetup.
Oh, yes.
Well, exactly. You see, I don't forget these.
I completely forgot about the event. But yes,
Well,
this is the third actual time we're meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone listening to this podcast, I'm assuming they have seen your face somewhere because I first came across your face. You probably remember, it was, I think, your viral video where you were behind a glass and you were telling your friends that I'm not going to party or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think that went mega viral, and that was the first time I came across your content itself, and ever since
funny.
I've been a follower. So
Funny.
I want to dive right into kind of first go even...
I watch your stuff too, just to...
Oh, you watch?
Yeah, I watch the videos. Very good.
Thank you very much. It means the world to me. When someone who I started because of, one of the people I started because of, compliments your stuff, it's another thing.
Yeah, it's great
But
stuff.
let's go prior to you actually on that video. So time before you even got to uni,
Yeah.
like your early life.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was just Ukrainian life. Born and raised in Ukraine. At the age of 16, I moved to the UK to go to law school. As a kid, I wanted to be the president of Ukraine. That was my dream. So I just looked up what do presidents study, and it was law. And then most of them study in good universities. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go to the UK, do law. And then, yes, I moved. And then life just like took control.
Why become a president? What was the reason behind it?
I think it was a combination of my grandma was very much into politics, not like participating, but she kept like talking to me about like the Ukrainian politics, the world and stuff like this. And I just felt like, I don't know what a kid can like dream of. Very soon I realized that while I was playing tennis, the other guys I was playing tennis with just started growing. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure how I'm gonna keep up with these guys. So it's like, what's the place where I can just fulfill myself, I guess. And like it was like a child dream.
Makes
I'm a
sense.
president, like I can change things and big stage and speak to people, and like I thought it was very glamorous. So I was like, why not?
Is that still there? Which part of you wanted to be going? And if you could just take your mic closer, because
I think
it might not catch your audio.
I think now I realize that it's very stressful, incredibly stressful. And you basically just have to give up your life. If you were to do it well, you have to just give up your life for basically the nation, people. It's tough. I don't know. I'm not sure that it's exactly in the on the table right now, but
and you are actually very close to kind of like I've seen a lot of campaigns you have done as well for Ukraine and recently what happened and everything.
Yeah.
And I want to dive a bit off that later in the podcast. But my first question is, most people think 100 times before even doing one university degree. But you you just decided that, you know what, let's do 4, or let's have 4 in total. Why?
Okay. So, like I have 4 degrees. That is true. I went to law school in the UK. At the same time, I wanted to do economics. And I actually got into a Ukrainian university, Odessa National Economic University, on a government scholarship. So I was like, and they offered distance learning. So I'm like, okay, it's free.
Yeah.
I can just, if I can't do it, I'll just drop out. You know?
That's true.
In the end, it wasn't actually that hard because I would read books about economics anyways. So it's like I would just boss the exams easy. Then I graduated. Then I worked as a tennis racket salesman. One of my favorite jobs. I just loved it. I was so good at it.
Why? Why was that your favorite job?
It's like you just make a tiny difference to so many people's lives. Like I think people usually think of like, oh, retail job, like so bad. But the thing is, I love people, talking to people. I like the people from Texas coming into Wimbledon. They tell me about Texas and I get them to buy the rackets. And then I was like record tennis racket salesman in the shop and like have all these awards, like a little photo thing. So I don't know, it was cool. It was like my first kind of proper thing after a bunch of jobs like dishwasher, waiter that I wasn't very good at. This was the first thing I was actually decent at, and I was like, damn, this feels good to like get paid, be good, you know what I mean? And then I went to study business at Warwick Business School, and then I went to work to Accenture. And I was working there for a while, and then an opportunity showed up to go to LSE and study inequalities. At the time, I thought that my life would be dedicated to figuring out what to do with income inequality, wealth inequality, that type of stuff. I just thought it was the most important problem that I can solve because I'm not that smart to like go to space or stuff like this. But I was like, this kind of societal construct and like the way we work, the way we get paid, I thought maybe I can work in this my whole life. So that program showed up. I did it part-time. Yeah, that's it. See, it's easy. It's not as bad as people think.
You love studying and kind of just reading and everything. You won't believe I actually scrolled down your Instagram, right at your first few posts, and all I could see was a young Max. Just kind
What do you mean?
What?
I'm still a young Max.
I mean, you're still young, but
like younger
version of you who just was obsessed with reading.
Obsessed.
I think that you're so. The crazy part about you is that once you become obsessed about something, you just go so deep into it. And one of them was kind of AI. I saw your post and everything, and I want to dive onto that as well because that was before the AI boom as well. But,
yeah, ages ago actually.
But you know what? We'll just dive into that. Like the whole AI boom, which it recently happened, but you were actually doing so much research in 2018. What's your perspective change to about
too early?
Now?
It was too early on this. Like
I was thinking, I'm like, if I was Max, I would just make stories about like, guys, people are talking about AI now.
Yeah.
I was talking about it in 2018.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it had nothing to do with money at the time. I think at the time, AI was just about like, damn, like, look at this thing. It's crazy what machines can do. What does it mean for our society? It was never like, this is how AI can help you do the coursework or like get the job, you know what I mean? Which is actually great content now because it's practical. Actually, there was no glamorous story. At the time, I really wanted to become an expert in something. I felt like I was reading books so much. And actually, I kind of started at the age of 19 to like read properly every week and just like fell in love with it. Before that, I didn't read all that much. So it's like, I think a lot of people think that like you are just born this way and you just like love reading and learning. I was just not doing anything from the age of like maybe 15 to 19, just whatever, like watching shows, like hanging out with friends. Yeah, like I didn't really think much about the future, what I should do. Like I didn't have the hustle like mentality and stuff. And then just like, I know I fractured my ankle, something clicked. In a few weeks, I'm like waking up at 5 a.m. reading like all this stuff. And then it's like, I've just been like this. I don't know what happened.
Do you still read?
Oh, yeah.
You love reading?
I have a Kindle in my coat, like right there. Because
and
I was
you're
like,
just constantly reading?
Not, I read less than I used to. I think I really like this quote from Tim Ferriss. And when he's talking about reading, he says that you should read just-in-time books rather than just-in-case books. And for me, everything I read was like just in case. Like, okay, this is a book about fine art. like probably will have nothing to do with it my whole life. Like, let's see how fine art is priced. Like, da, 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 da. Yeah, like dog training books. I don't even have a dog. It's just random stuff. I think now, then I got into business books, and my favorite is biographies and kind of business biographies, like books about Enron. I think maybe was it you reading Creativity Inc. about Pixar, like just different books about companies, the history, like rise and fall, like BlackBerry, Nokia, that kind of stuff. I love.
Is that where your creativity sparks from for content as well? Because I think you do make a lot of brand related videos. Like, this is the history of Nike, or like this has happened with Nike or something like that.
That's another like so I really love advertising, and I discovered it when I was at Accenture. Accenture is a large consultancy firm, and they started buying advertising agencies, and one of those agencies was Droga 5, where I started working. According to Adweek, the best ad agency of the last decade. They've worked with like, not like advertising kind of like I did, like small scale, little campaign here and there, but like big, like multi-dozen $million budgets, like Amazon, like blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And like, no one told me about advertising. I think in Ukraine, it was not that developed. I think when I moved here, I was in the lower kind of economics business bubble, and I just felt like advertising not serious career. And then I go into that agency, and I'm like, wow, like this really, I feel like I really fit in here. So I just love brands, not all of them, obviously, and like there's so many like things that are wrong. But if you think about like, if the brands disappear, like Times Square is just like a boring street. They would never, you know what I mean?
Even Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah, Piccadilly Circus is still a boring street, even with the ads. Yeah, no, I think, I just logos, brands, like history of brands, like why we buy what we buy, how our lives are basically shaped by a bunch of people like myself who just think about how to make you buy stuff. And then out of that arises culture, memes, jokes, like events, movements. It's really crazy.
Your curiosities are weirdly fascinating. I say that because not everyone has kind of curiosity around, let's learn about brands and everything. But I want to go back to the part where you fractured your ankle and you said something clicked. What was that click? And what made you realize that you want to leave this corporate world and now finally...
fracturing my ankle was at uni.
Okay.
I was still at uni. I think in terms of what clicked, I think it was just like this shocker of like, I could have, I was really into tennis at the time, and I remember doctor telling me that I might not be able to play ever again, and I was like, so young, sports are really important for me. Like I couldn't imagine like not being able to just move quickly. And I think I just started thinking about like other parts of my life where, I wasn't. The thing is, I was doing well, I was doing fine, but it wasn't what I dreamt of as a kid. And I was like, and I just had so much time because I was in a cast. My head was hurting, like I couldn't really do much. I was reading Ryan Holiday's book, Obstacle is the Way, like, motivational. But also thinking like, why am I not doing what like my childhood self wanted to do? Why am I just like going, now that I'm in the UK, I tried to fit in with everyone else who was at uni. Like, why am I not trying anything cool?
I like that so much because I think you done something called me time. Well, usually you wouldn't not given yourself any me time. Yeah. And yesterday I was speaking to Simon Alexander Ong, who's a author of a book called Energize, and he was talking about how we usually never give me time, and we will learn more about ourselves the most when we actually give ourselves the most amount of time.
I disagree.
You disagree? How come?
You know what? This whole thing about like, okay, so take breakups. Okay. People usually say like work on yourself, like work on yourself. I just feel that like humans don't really develop in a silo necessarily. Like if you're just alone in a room, how are you gonna work on yourself? You work on yourself and improve through interactions with others, good, bad, partners, friends, co-workers, like teachers, students, I don't know. And I feel like this is how we develop. So I'm not a big fan of like just like closing in, and I kind of never do that usually. I think it's just, it wasn't that I was focusing on myself. I just had time to think, and my leg was hurting a lot, and it was making me sad. And I was like, what else makes me sad? Well, it's probably not because like probably things like I'm not doing enough with my life or something.
Yeah. But at the same time, I completely agree with that part. But at the same time, it's also about you kind of, when you're alone, you will sometimes have thoughts which you will not be able to kind of get if you're surrounded by people. It's like you're sitting with yourself and you're listening to yourself and like what your head is telling you. Because sometimes we are shaping our life just the way you were. You were shaping your life according to trying to fit in people with the UK and everything. But when you were by yourself, you kind of realized that, you know what, I need to live my life the way I want it to be. So maybe that way it does make sense.
Yeah, and like I didn't do anything drastic. It wasn't like I changed it was just I just adjusted a few things.
Then when did the corporate kind of leaving, I'm sorry for cutting you off there, but when did you leave the corporate world?
Yeah, that was during the pandemic. I think just in the beginning, no, maybe midway through pandemic.
Okay.
It was weird because, okay, so the story was I was at Accenture working away, and I actually really liked my job. I was never one of the people who wanted to start their own business. Never. As a kid, I didn't used to sell anything. I never thought about making money necessarily. What I liked was when I was a kid was I was doing comedy. I was doing like performance stuff. That was kind of my thing. Kind of think about like as comedy sketches on stage in Ukraine. It's a really popular thing. And yeah, so I was never thinking of a business route. I was always thinking politics. That was my thing. And then I got a job that I really liked at Accenture. I had a great team, great mentor there. Was doing what I thought was really fulfilling stuff. And then I started making videos while I was there. And soon, it didn't become a problem, but it became a thing that like people started talking about, including the HR, like, what does this mean for us as a publicly traded company that Max is like running around asking for 100% discounts? Like, what is it? What, like, yeah. So, and then I remember I was in a Love Island ad as part of the TikTok. There was a TikTok ad in between Love Island segments, and I was in there, coming to work next day. Everyone knows that like I make videos, all of this stuff. And I make videos about business and brands. So sometimes I would make a video about a client, and turns out everyone either is or at some point was Accenture's client. So yeah, there were things like not necessarily censorship or anything. Like it was very amicable, everything's great, but like I just felt a little bit held back. And then I discovered advertising at Droga 5, and I was like, I love these guys, but I think I can do it without them. So it was like 3 months between me. I didn't plot it. I didn't plan it. We were just pitching a client. We lost the pitch. And I felt like if I was in charge, we would have won the pitch. And I'm like, why can't I just not be in charge? So started setting shop up on the side to do some, at a time, like TikTok. Like, oh no, my first thing was talking about being early was voice ads. I was like making voice ads. Because Gary Vee also was shouting, Alexa voice, da, da, da. I was like, okay, how about, voice ads. We're going to be the agency that like puts audio ads for brands. Talk about being early, like 6 years after, no one still cares about the voice devices. It didn't pop off. Like it would be so bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I just thought this is something that we've done in a team. I feel like I can run a team that does something like this. And then I thought I was going to be fired because it was the pandemic. All of the corporates were firing people. And we had like a very kind of, very detached on a human level firing process where team just looks at your numbers like and be like, okay, well, you're underperforming, you're gone. And I was sure that I was getting fired. So I was ready to leave. And then turns out my boss was fired. And I was supposed to be promoted. And it was really awkward because they're like, well, Max, what are the career opportunities for you within the firm? And I'm like, I'm kind of leaving. And everyone around me was like, you leaving now? Like no one was hiring. Like there was nothing. And you like hold on to your job. It's like, you're leaving now? I'm like, yeah. That's it. Left, moved back in with my family, started the agency.
what did your family say in terms of you're a guy who had spent time and a lot
Yeah,
of effort
yeah,
into all these degrees and kind of
yeah.
making yourself this job and everything, and then
Yeah,
suddenly you leave
packaging
it.
myself really well.
Yeah, and then suddenly you just leave. Or even yourself, like, did you have this conflict in your head, like, I worked so hard until to kind of reach
Yeah,
here?
I think so. I think it was also hard because I didn't hate my job.
Mm,
Like, I wasn't leaving because I didn't like it. I just thought I can do it better,
mm,
and in a more fulfilling way for myself. So, I mean, my grandma still kind of doesn't get what's going on. Um, I think the moment my grandma felt okay with the decision was when Elton John sent me a T-shirt for Christmas.
oh.
I'm like, look, grandma, it's Elton John. He knows who I am. She's like, yeah, that's cool. My parents are usually very supportive. They were just, dad told me this thing the other day, like that he feels scared for me when I fail badly, which eventually will happen because I think I've managed to kind of succeed more or less in the small things that I'm doing so far. So he's like, I feel that you're not ready to fail really bad. And he thought that me starting my own business will be that, and it will like screw me up or something. Yeah, my mom was just like, yeah, you got it. Don't worry. It's all good.
I like that.
Yeah.
You loved your job, so
Okay. Hang on. I said I didn't hate my job.
okay, you
Okay. It's easy for me to love things. I was happy. I wasn't miserable, and I saw my future in corporate. And who knows? You know what I mean? Netflix
That's what
CMO.
that's the exact thing I want to ask, is that a corporate job and an entrepreneur is two different type of kind of whole lifestyle changes.
Very different.
Right? Did you enjoy your corporate lifestyle more than what you enjoy right now doing?
No, I enjoyed it less, but at the same time, I'm not in the camp of like necessarily glamorizing entrepreneurship too much. Like, it's like if you hate your job, the problem is not that you hate jobs. The problem is that you hate your job. I know people in advertising who make 1.5-2 million a year and they speak to the best brands, the celebrities, teams, making massive cultural impact. Yeah, so pretty cool. You know what I mean? Compared to people who earn the same, but they're entrepreneurs, like the stress is so much. And I don't think, and stress is bad for you. Like as far as much as we go like suffering, we like glamorize it as so inspiring. Like stress is horrible for you. And different people have different tolerance to like stress and like responsibility and stuff. Like for me, the big shift was, I think I told you about this, like the fact that people's livelihood is depends on me being able to build and lead the team and sign the client or whatever. Like, yeah, that was like really stressful. You know what I mean? Like if I make mistakes, these people's careers will suffer because of this. So
do you fear that? Do you fear that? Because I think that's my biggest fear as well. And how do you actually go about managing and actually getting your vision to them in the way you want things to be done?
Yeah, I think so. First, like very practically, I am thankfully well connected, and not that I like nepotism or kind of referring people necessarily or whatever, but I think that if we have to downsize, which we did, I'm confident that everyone on my team can get a higher paying job, or like we'll be able to progress. My reference, maybe we can get foot in the door. I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's also like you should differentiate things a little bit. Like you are, yes, responsible for the people who work for you or with you, but you're not their dad. You know what I mean? If they made a choice, there is a contract. This is how it goes. If we have to let someone go, we have to let someone go, as hard as it is. I think it's a matter of like how you communicate that and also how much you help people afterwards. Like I think that's what I focus on.
I think that's really nice, and it's important as well, because I feel like not every company is going to do that of like after they have been fired or they have been told to go. Kind of you actually looking after them is an important part. Your agents.
I think another thing, just to add also, I think the fact that I had a job really helped me be a better leader, because I know what it's like to work for someone. I know what it's like to work in a team. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who haven't had a job, it's really hard to understand what your team wants because you've never been an employee. You know what I mean? So how can you know? And I think they struggle a lot with also like this idea that my business is my life and everyone who comes in should share this.
And should treat it like their own baby.
They shouldn't.
As well.
Like, what do you mean? Like, I remember how I felt about my job. I like my job. I'm not gonna like go crazy, like, I don't know, work ridiculous hours, give up everything for my job. So yeah.
I had that realization very late as well. Like, luckily, just like you, I had a corporate job.
Late? Yeah. What do you mean late?
I'm 23. I'm talking as if I'm 53.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I also had a job, and that gave me a good perspective because I worked in a corporate. Well, while I was at uni, I worked at a 9-to-5 job for 2 years. So I really understood how it not in generally feels, but how teams are managed and what kind of like there's hierarchies and this and that. And sometimes it's like the team is not even a team. It's just like everyone just hates each other in there, and I didn't want that kind of thing. And I feel like that's something which happens. But talking about your agency and reaching out to brands, I'm sure some people listening to this are into like marketing itself and reaching out to brands. What would be some of the tips you would give for them to kind of reach out to brands? Bigger brands, I would say.
Yeah. So just to kind of contextualize it, what my agency does, but used to do a lot more actively, was social impact campaigns. So we were not in the SMMA space. We didn't necessarily sell branded stuff, goods. We were thinking about like for big brands and organizations like the UN, Uber, etc. They will have some kind of, well, the UN more so, but even brands, they would have a message, a campaign that is not about what they sell. And what we would do is to help them shape that campaign. So it was around the social impact that brands would want to have. It was very like a goody-goody scheme. Like I was thinking like, for me, for example, we worked on a project with the United Nations where we helped the UN, together with another agency called Purpose, do the communications, digital comms around vaccines, masks, why masks are important, why vaccines are important, like in 35 countries. And like for me, that was like such a monumental piece of work and for the team, because we knew exactly, like we have grandparents, this is what we're working for. We know that people think that Bill Gates wants to chip your arm and they're not going to get vaccines. And as a result, someone you know may die. So we were like, and like the drive there was crazy. I think it's hard to engineer something like this in a team when your goal is like to sell sneakers or to sell Coke. Like it's a different thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
In terms of reaching out to brands, organizations, I provided a bunch of free stuff. Okay, so let me give like 3 things. I think number 1 is you have to make it easy for the brand to see how they're going to work with you.
Okay.
So like instead of saying, hi, we're going to do a campaign for you, like you need to say, this is what we're going to do. This is the timeline. And then we would, on a pitch, would be like, well, this is when we're looking to start. This is when we're looking to complete, as if we're already working together. So during the pitch, like just pretend that you're working together. They already assigned, and this is your first meeting, instead of trying to get them to sign. I think that to me was a big unlock. Another thing was word of mouth. Really, really powerful. Like I think a lot of agencies are focused on getting more clients, but you would get more clients if you just have one, but just service them so well, get such good results, you're going to be fine. So I think that's what kind of we focused on too. I said 3 things. I lied. It's going to be 2 things.
But these are actually great tips, because I feel like many people reach out in a way that they are trying to get brands and not exactly in the perspective. Because I think it's also the way you reach out is important, because they get hundreds of emails a day. And you sell yourself really well. That's why you've got 2 TED Talks.
Oh, yeah.
And you're invited to them. That's
Yeah.
another flex.
Another flex.
How do you prepare for a TED Talk? So this is me.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear the word TED Talk, the first thing that comes in my mind is hundreds of people sitting in front of you,
Yeah.
and you have to talk to them. My chest is going to be pounding with like all the heartbeats and pressure going up. How do you
Yeah.
prepare for all of that?
Okay. Well, I have been performing on stage since I was a kid, like a child.
Damn it.
A child. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about this. A lot of the things that, like, I think right now, you, for example, you've done the business thing, you are doing the content thing, you probably want to do some public speaking stuff. Like, I don't think my advice will work that well because most of those I already fixed when I was like 11. So I think this now it's more of a challenge with like different language. What's my style in this language? Like, obviously I'm a foreigner. I think it's like practice is really important. I think I have a lot of like kind of hot takes on public speaking. Like I can talk about this for a long time, but just focusing maybe on TED Talks. Like in Ukraine, I've done a talk in front of 7,000 people in like a sports arena.
Wow.
So like after that, it's fine. It's cool. And I'm also having fun. I'm
Makes
having
sense.
fun. They're learning something. It's for me, it's a really good time. And I just focus on stage, just enjoy the good time and try to actually be helpful.
But I think what you can actually still, even though you have got all the experience, can kind of provide and help people is like, how do you go about making a good TED Talk? By the way, if you're enjoying this podcast, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Inspired Mind itself, because it depends. Like, I have no idea. Like, if you told me to write an essay about a topic, I have no idea where to start, what to add, what to include. I've seen videos of Simon Sinek about him giving his TED Talk.
I met him on the plane the other day. Met him on the plane. I never get starstruck. Never. And for me, when I see and it's not because I'm so cool, like I hang out with all these celebrities. Like, no, I just don't want to, like, I just don't care that much.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a famous actor, like, look, people tell you what to say and you say them on screen in a really convincing way. I'm not gonna go like piss myself if I see you. Like, well done. Like, I guess. There are a few types of people that I go crazy for. First, the Ukrainians, like Shevchenko.
Okay.
Oh my God. When I saw Shevchenko for the first time, like, he's a football player, was a huge football player for AC Milan and Chelsea. Now, Mudryk is in Chelsea anyways. All the Ukrainians taking over the football stuff. So Simon Sinek for me was like, I think it's sometimes people that not everyone knows, but I feel like I know really well. Like Gary Vee, Casey, Chris Do.
You just know their story so well.
Huh?
You just know their story well.
Well, they actually had a tangible impact on my life. Like Gary Vee, I remember like the first time I spoke to Gary was like ages ago, and like he helped me so much. The Simon Sinek, I've never actually had any conversations with, but I've watched his content and I've used it. I've used it in my life. What he said, what he just came up with, I've used it and it helped. So I was on the plane. I come up to him. He was in business class, of course. I was, as always, scrappy in the economy. I literally waited outside the toilet. Like, I didn't even want to go toilet. I just pretend I want to go toilet. I'm in a queue. Then I go in the toilet and I just think about what I'm going to say. So I have this plan. I'm like, okay, cool. Come out. He's, actually, I'm not going to say what he was doing. Anyways, it doesn't matter. What if he wasn't? Anyways, so he was just there on the couch in like a business class thing. I'm like, hi, Simon. He's like, oh, hey. And like, obviously he gets recognized a lot. I'm like, you're flying to LA? And in my head, I'm like, we are on a direct flight from London to LA. Of course he's fucking flying to LA. No, he's just getting off at the next stop.
Oh, Lord.
I'm like, he's like, yeah, as everyone here. I'm like, cool, I love your stuff. And then we just shook hands. Anyway, so that's...
You didn't even take a picture?
I never take pictures.
You never take pictures? Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like... I don't know.
It's part of the memory. That's why I have that Gary Vaynerchuk picture.
That's nice. I don't know.
You even said that was cute. So that
was very cute.
That would have been
cute. You know, sometimes you just don't get the cute things. I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't want to fanboy too much. I think, especially since when I met him, like, look, like I make content, I have a business. Like, okay, let's like I'm fanboying, but like I'm also doing a little bit of my thing here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't want to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love taking photos in general.
Okay.
So there is that.
Have you been approached to take pictures with other people?
Oh yeah, with other people, yes.
And you're fine with that?
I'm thrilled with that. But doing it myself, I don't know. I feel a little bit like, my dad. He just takes these ridiculous pictures where like half of his head is at the bottom of the picture, and like the rest is just whatever scenery.
Yeah.
You know how like
I know
people,
those
they just have to put the phone as high as possible.
But those are the best pictures. It's less about you, but more about that memory of that scenery, isn't it?
No, but look, it has to be still pleasant to look at. Like, just use the tools. Like, the camera is so good. Just use it. Anyways, whatever.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually don't take pictures. I don't know.
I mean, you're a content creator, but you don't take pictures. But you're a content creator, and so am I.
True.
And I'm gonna steal all your ideas. Tell me your creative process of how you come up with it, because I do get. I mean, people watching me are a few of them are content creators. So what's your creative process? And last time I spoke to you, you said you change ideas once you get bored of them. How do you come up with new ideas after that?
It's like there is like limitless new ideas. Like, for example, the other day, someone ranked something out of 10, 1 to 10, in my team. And I was like, ranking 1 to 10 doesn't work. They're like, why, Max? Why doesn't it work? I'm like, well, let me tell you something. So 7 is a very culturally significant number.
Okay.
So if you ask a person to name a random number from 1 to 10, I should have done this thing with you. It doesn't matter. 30% of them will say 7. So
7's my favorite number.
Exactly. You would have probably said 7, right? So the whole ranking already doesn't work for that reason, because people are just too attracted to the 7. So they're not really giving you like a clean answer. But the second thing is that 7 is a very safe option, because 6, if for example, I don't know, you're like your partner makes you like, I don't know, a borscht or like a steak, and he's like, well, what do you think? Like, ranking out of 10, you would say 7 if it's like, okay, you know what I mean? It's 7. I mean, my girlfriend would still be pissed off, but like 7 is fine.
Yeah.
6 feels like it's a little bit low.
Yeah.
And 8 feels like I don't really want them to make it again necessarily, so I'm not gonna say 8. So 7 is a really safe option. And I was like, and I told them this, and I was like, oh, let's make a video about this, like how the 1 to 10 ranking doesn't work. And I'm gonna go and just ask people to rank things. I'm like, okay, go to the barber shop, like rank my hair, go to a shoe store, rank my shoes. And then we go, everyone says 7. And I'm like, well, the correct way to rank something would be to say, can you rank it on a scale from 1 to 10? But you can't say 7. So a person has to either downgrade or upgrade it so that you have much better insight around the thing that you're ranking. And everyone either downgrade or upgrade it. So there is this, but also like I read a lot, watch stuff, and I just have a content WIP, work in progress, and I just dump stuff there. And in the end, I find to see if there are videos. I don't think it's necessarily the right approach. I think obviously everyone's talking about niches and like riches and the niches, all that type of stuff. That's good. I think for my own like creative outlet, because when I started socials, it wasn't to make money. It still is not necessarily. So I thought I make money with my business. I make videos on the side. Perfect. Like I don't have to sell anyone anything outside of the businesses that have too much money. So I can take some, I can use it better anyways. So yeah.
So that's why.
Creative process, just to give you maybe some more insight. Things being visual are really important to me. If the concept is interesting, but the phenomenon name is not snappy, I don't see how I can visualize it. I don't see how I can break it down properly. Sometimes we scrap ideas that are actually really good, but I just don't know how to make them interesting. And also if it's a video that is not interesting to me, like if I'm interested in the video, I know that at least someone is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you try to like reverse engineer what's popping, you can end up with a number of people interested in something. It's 0. And you made it because you thought they were. But if you are, you know what I mean? I'm not that special. If it sounds interesting to me, other people will probably find it interesting.
Yeah, that's true. And I think when it comes to creating content, recently I learned that everyone's kind of a reflection of you. So what you might like is what a younger version of you out there will like as well.
Yeah. Or an older.
Or an older version of me will like that as well. So I feel like now I've kind of started doing that in my content, and it's really helped. And you said you read books a lot. And as I mentioned, when I scrolled down all the way down, I saw one of your first few pictures were Jordan Peterson's, I think, 12 Rules of Life. I think that's,
really?
that was one of your early books,
Oh, fair enough.
which you posted. I don't know which ones you read, but you read a lot of books, I'm assuming, from all your pictures. What are your top 5 books which you think everyone must read?
Oh my God. You know, I know this question is coming all the time, but I just, why do I not prepare for it? Cool. Let's think.
I think 12 Rules of Life.
Everyone should read?
Yeah,
I don't think everyone should read 12 Rules of Life.
Shouldn't? I haven't read it. Why do you think not?
It's if you were to choose 5, I would probably go for something a little bit more time-tested, tried and true kind of. I think 12 Rules of Life is a synthesis. Okay. Okay, cool. Let me think. Well, there has to be some psychology stuff in there, like something by Nietzsche or like a Carl Jung or something like this.
I have no idea who they were.
Like Nietzsche, you know, the philosopher psychologist.
I don't know.
Okay, so a Nietzsche like book, something. I don't know. Probably something like a biography, like a really inspiring biography.
Steve Jobs. Does he have one?
Maybe one of the Walter Isaacson's biographies, like Steve Jobs or maybe Benjamin Franklin or maybe something like this. Just get like someone in there.
But they're so big and fat to read, isn't it?
Well, it's top 5 books. Oh, okay, top 5 books like actually readable.
Yeah.
Because my next one is gonna be Snowball, which is
how big
Warren Buffett's biography. That's like 1,000 pages.
Bloody hell!
Okay,
you know, if you told me right now, you know, the best book I read is Who Moved My Cheese. Have you read it?
I love Who Moved My Cheese.
You know how easy and nice it is, and I feel like most people bullshit in their books so much. It's like one point they expand like into 3 pages, but they can simplify it in like 1 paragraph.
Possibly. You know, I think most of the bullshitting in books are in like medium-sized books. When a book is like 300 pages.
Yes, exactly.
You know that, like that could be bullshit. I think if a book is 1,000 pages, it's like there's no commercial reason for them to bullshit. They just really couldn't fit it in. So they're either bad writers, they fit in too much, or they actually have this much value to offer. Let me actually try to. I really like Principles by Ray Dalio.
Okay, Principles.
I think it's nice. I don't want to go like old white men stuff, but it's nice. I don't know. I read it and I really enjoyed it. Awareness by Anthony DeMello is not the book that I would usually read. Looking at the spiritual stuff, it seems like you will read it.
Yes.
And it was so good. It was so good. I think towards the end, it lost me a little bit.
What made that book so good?
Like it, in language that is very clear, it kind of explores insecurity, happiness, just why you do what you do. It was like kind of philosophy, but it was kind of calling out my bullshit. It was basically like an intellectual's version of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which also is a very cool book. Yeah, I don't know. There's too many. Like there's too many.
How many have you read? How many books have you read?
I think a lot.
Over 1,000?
Over 1,000, yeah. I think a lot. Wait, what over 1,000? So around 50 a year, maybe a little bit more than 50.
Almost 1,000.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But then there's a whole stigma around reading a lot of books and taking less, like
for sure. Yeah. I'm very inefficient. Like in the way that I am, like I don't think it's good advice. I don't think it makes sense to, but I just like it. It's kind of like it's like, you know, like some people watch shows. Like I like watching shows. To me, it's no different. Like books, shows, whatever. Like just kind of you do you. I just like books because I feel like I kind of owe it to them. You know, it's like now I feel like I'm kind of bored at the gym a little bit. Like as I started like playing tennis more, running, weirdly I enjoy running now. But when I go back to the gym, I'm like, I remember that the gym has helped me when I was a teenager to like help my confidence, this kind of stuff. So I owe it to the gym to keep going. So sometimes I feel the same about books. Like there are other genres, mediums of information you can consume, but like I owe it to the books for the impact that they've had on me to just keep reading them books.
I like that perspective you had, because I feel like most people will just stuff in your face like, oh, you know what, you need to read 100 books in order to become successful, whereas you is like more of a hobby. And if it's a hobby, then I guess it's fine.
But I think so. And I think in terms of like starting to read, like just the most important thing is to find a book you're interested in. So this is why sometimes these like top 5 books, I don't know where to start because everyone is so different. And I just feel like the book that fits everyone.
I think I should have given you a category: self-improvement books.
Yeah, maybe self-improvement books.
Principles of
principles, I guess, is
and how to not give a F as well.
Self-improvement. I would read Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. Okay. Also a fat book, but like
I tried reading 4-Hour Workweek, but I reached halfway and
4-Hour Workweek is nice, but it's not quite that. 4-Hour Workweek has an agenda. Tools of Titans is basically his stuff from his podcasts where he interviewed a bunch of people, and like there's like I think health, wealth, and something else.
Happiness.
Maybe or like health, wealth, maybe family or something. I don't remember. And it just kind of combines Tim Ferriss's thoughts and people he interviewed, which is kind of quite cool. I think it's gotta be, either One Thing by Gary Keller, I think, or Essentialism by McCune. I think they have a similar message of like focus. I think I struggle with focus a lot. A lot of people, I think, struggle with focus right now.
ADHD?
I was low-key diagnosed at school. I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I think struggle with focus more like, I want to do everything.
That's the problem I think I have as well.
But the thing is, you can do everything, just not at the same time. Yes. You can do one by one. You can do everything you want, just not at the same time. And just stop doing everything at the same time. Like, and I think the One Thing and Essentialism, like they really drill it down, like don't do it. So those, I think 0 to 1 is really nice. Like Peter Thiel's weird character aside, it's a really smart business book, really cool.
That was
really
one of
short.
the pictures you posted as well.
Yeah, really nice. Probably should delete that given like everything he's been saying. But
I mean, all the books which you just mentioned, I haven't read any of them except those ones there. But I need to start reading them.
You've got some nice ones there. Make Time is nice.
Well,
Deep Work is nice.
I think my favorite is How to Win Friends and Influence People. No, have you read it? I mean, I'm sure you have read it.
It's nice. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I think sometimes it's good to like go even further back. So I think like as far as business books go, I don't think it would be bad to read some Adam Smith. I don't think it would be bad to read some like Friedman, like just or Keynes, like just to get like this is the economy, this is how it works. Yanis Varoufakis, he's used to be a Greek finance minister, is really smart about the European economy, that kind of stuff, like how this works, like the banks, like that kind of thing. It's quite useful to go a layer beyond, because those books you have, everyone has read them.
Yeah.
Right. In let's say our space, and so sometimes you just like go somewhere else and find
I definitely need to do that, try out different kind of type of books, because they give the same information as what everyone else is reading.
But I think they're really easy to read. I think I really want for someone, so what I told my sister the other day, for her to like just challenge herself a little bit reading a book. I think when you start reading, it's great to start with something easy. But then when you are already like a reader, okay, you do it on a regular, just challenge yourself a little bit. And same with films, actually. Just like go and watch like stuff outside of Marvel. Just see how you feel. Like you might find something really cool and might find insights that are really cool. So like there are some books that are just like really hard to get through. Like there was this book on finance. I can't even remember what it was, but it was so thick and it was so boring.
I struggle with reading
so long
as well.
But like I just read it and fall asleep, and I finished in like a month. I was reading other stuff at the same time, and like I felt like I remember a bunch of stuff because I just had to reread stuff. I'm like, I don't get this. If you read a book and you just get it,
are you happier than you were before? Like when you were around 24, 23?
Ooh, yeah.
You're happier?
I'm happier.
Why would you say that?
Like if we take the Russia-Ukraine war out of the equation, because I feel like that it's so ridiculously fucked up that I don't even want to think like about how it affects my happiness, because like I will then constantly be unhappy at all times. So I think I am happier now. I think I'm much more connected to my creativity Like I think creativity is really underrated.
Yeah.
I think online productivity seems to be kind of the porn of the day, but I think like creativity is the shit. It's been driving force in my life. It's incredibly fulfilling. It's incredibly energizing, and I feel like I am definitely more creative in my daily life now. I think I have started being more myself. I think are you an immigrant?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can relate, but like I wanted to do it the English way, like the UK way initially.
That's the thing I am still struggling with. Like I do everything in an English way. Whenever I think of doing something in like my native way to kind of help that, it just doesn't come out. Like I don't know. I feel like cringe, or I feel like no, that's bad, isn't it?
I don't know if it's bad, but I think I definitely like it just didn't align with my strongest qualities. Like I'm a very energetic person. I'm a very spontaneous person. I'm a very warm person. And I think I just try to downgrade things that I am actually good at to fit the UK way. Like, don't say this. This is too direct. People you're not supposed to say this like that. Yeah, and I think after I kind of let go of this, I feel like I became more original, more in demand, more different, better perspective. You know what I mean? Yeah, like everyone else in here is from the UK, like most people, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you're not from here, that's great. Like use it. Like
that's your power, unfair
that's
advantage.
the thing. I think the immigrant thing is really. I mean, of course, there are different types of immigrants. Like I was a very privileged one, but still didn't have any connections. Didn't know anyone. Didn't know like where am I supposed to start with my like career. Like what do I do? But yeah, so I think there was this, and now I'm kind of more, I don't know. Yeah, I have more money now too.
Yeah.
At 23, I had zero money.
So does money bring happiness to you?
No, but sushi does. Sushi costs money.
Well, food definitely brings happiness.
Yeah.
You spoke a lot about, I mean, like creativity, and I 100% agree because most people talk about productivity, but your productivity also comes out of your creativity.
I think so.
And so the major kind of thing is creativity. But with the world of ChatGPT, with the world of new artificial intelligence programs, do you think it's going to have an effect on our creativity moving forward, or people's creativity, like the younger generation?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. I think if anything, what ChatGPT and other things do is that we don't have to code to take advantage of these. Some of them are glorified if-then algorithms. Some of them are closer to machine learning, machine intelligence, and so on. So I don't think it necessarily impacts our creativity. I'm not very well educated on like the artist's angle. I know there are some issues there.
I mean, let's talk about ChatGPT for a while, right? So I literally, even now, so let's say I want to do a script about a certain topic and my mind is blank. All I do is go on ChatGPT. I'm like, give me a 60-second script for this topic. And literally, it gives you a topic. But then it's so like, yes, it's given me a topic, but then I'm not even using my own creativity. And that's where the problem will become, I feel like. It's good and bad, no?
I don't think, it's like, I really like progress.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of progress. Like I really want us to move forward. This is why some things happen in the world that like set us back. Stupid debates, stupid personalities. Like it's just like, why are we not like, let's keep like, I know that I'm not doing anything like crazy life changing in the world, but I like watching other people do that. And I can talk about other people do that. So I think to me, it moves us forward. Its progress is great. Progress is just great. I think if anything, you have to get more creative now. You because no one's gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, just think about like an average. Let's even take a YouTube video as an example, or a book or something like this. I think before, not saying that it's easy, obviously, to write a book or something, but I think now, given how good machines are getting at taking information, synthesizing information, there is a whole skill. People build their livelihoods around that skill, synthesizing complex information and then regurgitating it in a text or video. Like that's gonna be kind of commoditized. Like you have to just get more creative with it. You just have to, and it's great. So everyone's gonna just unlock creativity. You know what I mean?
That's true as well. I guess it's all about perspective. And Gary Vee says it really well. Is like whether it's AI or whether when the .com bubble or everything, you just have to look at from the perspective of the positive things it's bringing rather than focusing on the negative.
I think so, but you still should think about what people are you leaving behind. Like, and like I love Gary. You know, maybe 2 months ago, he sent me a Instagram DM. He's like, "Hi Max, just checking in."
Wait, what?
I'm like,
do you guys regularly talk like that?
No, we spoke twice online in a Zoom call. But we were gonna meet up in New York. He couldn't make it, so he was like, "Oh, sorry, couldn't make it at the time." So like we were in some conversation, but like not like buddies. Like
okay.
So he was like, "Hi Max, checking in." I'm like, "You remember me? Like, what are you checking in about?" Like, "Sure, I'm cool." And the other day he sent me like a video. I was like, "Oh my god, video message!" Gary sent me a video message. Open it. Well, it looks like he sent it to a bunch of people.
Yeah,
it was like something he was like thinking. Mm-hmm. So yeah, love the guy, but I think we have to, for example, with the ChatGPT and creativity, like we have to think about the artists. Like you shouldn't just like let the market roam free like this. Like there are people whose work is being stolen.
Yes,
and someone is reselling it. It's not cool. Like we should figure out what to do with that. You know, there is this philosopher John Rawls, I think, and his theory is that we should build a society in a way that if you were to be born at the bottom of the hierarchy with all of the disadvantages, you would still be content with the opportunities that you get in your life. So I feel that we sometimes don't think about it this way. And I know that like this, not to start the communism, socialism thing, that's not what I mean. What I mean is more like for some people who are thinking that the market should be as free as possible with ChatGPT, AI, they're just not in the group of people that are going to be affected. And the moment they are, they will realize and change their mind. Yeah. Well, right now, if you're not an artist, you're like, great, free art, free YouTube thumbnail. But like, no. Let's just make sure that no one gets fucked over.
Yeah.
Here.
And I think that's really important because most people are going to lose jobs because of that as well. But we can.
Yeah, well, then universal basic income. Here we go.
Explain that.
You get a paycheck every month. Let's say $2,000. No questions asked, no terms and conditions attached. A bunch of countries are already doing it, like Scandinavia and so on. And I think society in the UK and the US still have a lot of work to do to like actually care about people like who are unfortunate in their circumstances.
I don't think that's ever happening. UK or US especially. I don't think.
Well, look, there was the as much as like UK is a culture of hustlers, by the way, that I haven't noticed so far. Like compared to the US, where I see the culture of hustlers there, I think the UK is could not quite claim that. Even in Korea, like even the way people work in South Korea, in like Seoul, people in London wouldn't believe it.
Have you been there?
No, but I know a lot of people in Korea. I know their hours. I know how they work. It's not like oh, just chatted for like half an hour to someone, just had a coffee, like, oh, busy bee. Like, no. You look like work really hard. So yeah, sorry, you were gonna say.
No. I was just. I was more interested in when you said South Korea. You said.
Yeah, South Korea. Yeah, because I was North Korea. We just don't have that much data.
One day I want to go South Korea just to kind of see the world. Because whenever I see some Netflix series about that, it always looks so nice to just visit there once.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's a very toxic work culture.
Even I would say China and Japan would be similar in the sense because of the work.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
But there's a lot more we can dive into. However, I want to come to the end of the podcast. But one main question I want to ask is, what does the next 5 years look like for Max Klymenko?
Questions, like they're so like, next 5 years. Okay, let's think.
Is he still going to continue his marketing agency? Is he still going to continue creating content?
I don't know, but like thinking 5 years ago, I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea. So using that logic, probably right now, I still have no idea. In terms of my plans, I want to definitely try to have more tangible change, like actually seeing the change in the world that is caused by myself being amplified by the team I build around me. Like that gives me like ridiculous level of satisfaction, way more than money. I think that's another thing that I learned from English people, that money is really important and that's what you should be chasing. Not that Ukrainians were just as like greedy and so on. I'm not painting anyone in a bad light, but it was never my approach, and I learned it, and now I'm unlearning it. Because when I talk about like what should we do to my team, like I'm thinking money, like, but it wasn't in my head before. Before I was thinking just fun, like impact, cool stuff to talk about, like just cool stuff to like do in your life. And I don't need that much money. I never wanted to be the richest or anything. I always kind of quietly thought that I might be as a result of me following my like creativity impact. I thought I might get rich like this, but if I don't, that's cool. I'd much rather do all this and not get rich than get rich, but not do all this, for sure. Like it's not even a question, like so clear to me in my mind. So I think focus on money less and earn more. That's one thing that I had in my mind for the next 5 years.
Focus on money less and earn more.
And earn more, yeah. Because it will just come. I just feel like it will just come. If you're like true to yourself, if you're working hard, doing stuff, it's impacting a lot of people, like just, it will come, maybe not as soon as I want, but I'm in no rush. Like I'm genuinely in no rush. Make better videos, better content. I think my content is not as good as it can be. I think there is a lot we can do. I think involve other stories, maybe stories that aren't being told as much. Like a lot of...
Do you know Prince EA? Prince EA?
No.
You've probably seen a video. He was really, really pop. Yeah, Prince
like
EA.
Sports.
Yes, exactly. Just like that. And you've probably seen his famous video. I can probably look up for it, but it's... He makes stories about like how your mind is... So there's a famous, go like 70 million views on YouTube. And it's like 6 years ago, but he talks about how your mind can create kind of... So here's the thing. They do a kind of experiment where they put one guy in, he's a magician, and they put him in a jail. They close the jail and they lock the doors, and then he has to try and get out of that jail. Now, what was interesting is that the lock was not locked and it was just kept open. And in his mind, he thought it was locked. So he tried everything he possibly could.
That's fun.
Everything he possibly could to try and get out, but he couldn't. And at the end, the guys just the guys came back and they just slid the door and it was open. And it was talking about like the whole thing was like how our minds can create their own reasons for you not being able to do something along those lines. But he's got really nice content. And I think you have the ability to create that type of content because of the team as well as your kind of creative process and the type of content you create. I think that is really good. And that also creates a huge impact on the world itself as well.
Yeah, that sounds really
nice
content, really cool. I think
you should do experiments.
I really like experiments, you know.
So you do experiments, but you should do actual, real, proper, big experiments.
Kind of like Jubilee Media. I really love what they're doing. I think I definitely have building a media company in my mind somewhere. Could be a charitable one. I don't know. Something cool. You know what I mean? I don't know, like 5 years.
I mean, I don't care. All I'm saying is I'm excited to see what's coming up. And
what about you?
Right when I asked you that question, I was going to tell you that if you ask me that question, I will tell you I don't know.
Okay, amazing. Then we both don't know.
Because it's like the best example I can give is like COVID. Like in the start of 2020, my resolutions were do this, and that. 2 months down into 2020.
Well, like travel the world?
Yeah, like example would be travel the world. But then 2 months later, you just see the news. The whole world is getting locked down.
Yeah. That's another overrated thing, man.
Yeah.
Overrated things of the day. Traveling, entrepreneurship, reading, so many things, man.
Oh, man. Entrepreneurship itself, I've realized how hard it is. But anyway, we will have another chat about that and another time of Thanks on our podcast. But it was a pleasure having you, Max.
Cool. Awesome.
And taking all your brain and putting in my brain and the people listening. Also, guys, if you don't follow Max on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, then make sure you go check it out because it's definitely great content out there. So.
And watch till the end.
Yes.
If you see the video come up, watch till the end.
And not just
if-
halfway.
Exactly. Even if you don't want to watch till the end.
Yes.
I don't care.
And you have to, so then we can get a higher average view duration, right? Because most people will just click for 1 second and then they will scroll away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pleasure having you,
Cool.
Max.
My
Thank
pleasure. Thank you.
you. Yes, the whole thing, like,